Yes, everybody.
Okay, so our talk is over and I need to mute my mic. Okay, I will do that.
Sure.
I will do it this way. Is that better? And I can also...
Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Jesus.
Okay, thank you.
Can
Thank you.
continue your presentation. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. It's an honor to be with you. I am Jesús Castañeda Rivera. I am a professor and research at the Center for Research and Teaching of Mathematics and the Normal School of the Huastecas in Mexico. I will tell you about the connection between the development of emotional competences and two fundamental concepts, such as inclusion and education. First of all, I want to thank the organizers of this webinar and you for the opportunity to share some ideas about education and diversity. I'm sorry for my limitations in speaking English. Now I will present on the screen and expose it with the help of some slides. My presentation name and education for well-being, for inclusion and diversity. There is a very close relationship between emotional development and cognitive development. In a part, in the words of Jean Piaget and Rafael Vizquerra. In David Ausubel learning theory, to develop significant learning, it is necessary to generate previous emotional component, motivation, which is gift, meaning, and since to the one we learned. In a sense, learning not only has a cognitive component, but to develop it requires an emotional component. Research by Richard Davison and Daniel Goleman on the impact that development of emotional competence has on the person, both develop the acquisition of knowledge and intellectual skills, or the motivation to the learning. Rather, we can link in the development intrapersonal and interpersonal socio-emotional skills and dimensions, from the conception to the person himself to the way of relating to others. According to Daniel Goleman, to foster cooperation, compassion, and altruism, it is necessary to develop our emotional abilities. Sensei, learning to the better relate to myself can help me to better relate to others. By learning the value that I have as a human being, it's allow me to build an other and realize that my definition as a person is constituted by including others. Consequently, by developing emotional skills at school, students can generate an inclusive coexistence space. For Humberto Maturana, education is teaching the person how to move in the work by waiting to call the work. We have invented theories to justify what we do. On many occasions, we have generation space of the discrimination and mistruth. Discrimination is mistruth of the legitimacy of the other. Since I mistruth their legitimacy, I separate it, deny it, submit it. I mistruth it so much that I am afraid I am create a whole system, social, cultural, legal, political, education, that justify discrimination. Emotional education allows us to cope, regulate, and maintain our fears and mistruth, and give us the opportunity to rediscover that conversation going around together that builds use and humanized use. Inclusive education is a pedagogical model that seeks to meet the learning needs of the children, shown at adults with a special emphasis on the tools we are vulnerable to marginalization and social exclusion. Inclusive education is a new way of the understand the enrichment of the diversity in the classroom. From this perspective, inclusion implies diversity. Diversity of ideas and ways of the thinking, believing, feeling, loving, being. Diversity is the complexity in the ways of being of the person. To accept and respect. To include those words have different ideologies, different religions, beliefs, who develop other ways of the being and achieve various well-being. The inclusion of the those who have different cultures, different genders and sexualities, and different ways of the constructing the human vein, motor or cognitive disables, who are vulnerable or have not had access to education. Education must be for everyone. Has a human right of all people, and the classroom must the must be a space of respect, freedom, and self-relation. For the psychologist Carl Rogers, education should enlarge the skill and knowledge of students in the space of the freedom and creativity. Thus, education do not speak to make a student equal, but each one different, and in that diversity, think is riches. One of the main aims of the education and society is the value of empathy. For Daniel Goleman, there are three types of empathy: cognitive or intellectual empathy, when the ideas of a person or group, the people of people, are similar or coincidence. Affective empathy, when the emotions or feelings of the other people influence and affect to or person. And social empathy, when we feel value the person for their human condition. Social empathy is a necessary empathy in our society. The assessment of value of the human condition over anything. This proposed by Daniel Goleman coincident with the conclusion of several investigations by Laurie Santos, who have identified a possibility relationship between the condition of well-being and practicing gratitude and actions in favor of others. A similar proposal appears from the philosophy of education of Bernard Lonergan, when he proposed the need for education to have human growth as its goal, the goal of doing golf for others, and that well, doing so. It's does it for oneself. This way of selling the classroom is a free space and environment of healthy and peaceful coexistence require the transformation of the teachers and the teachers to assume the social, moral, and ethical responsibility of teaching work is the center of the social transformation, in the sense that Paulo Freire has it. Education as a means to liberate the human mind. Since when teaching, we not only build learning situations where knowledge is accurate, and skills are developed. Good art attitude or personality influence or students. We should await of the living and the pain. It is an exercise of the power and an opportunity to show to our students that we can build an inclusive society with respect for cultural diversity and the environment of healthy and peaceful coexistence. A culture with full exercise of the freedom and respect for the human rights of each person. The development of the emotional education is the human being, is a fundamental element to the book, a more inclusive, just, and human society. Thank you. Thank you very much for your attention. I am sorry for me limitations in speaking English.
Thank you, Dr. Jesus, for your valuable time, and it's a wonderful session from you. Thank you. Dear delegates, if you have any questions, you can ask to Dr. Jesus.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris.
Okay, Doctor, thank you. And our next presentation will be given by Dr. Elena. Dr. Elena, can you hear me?